Subtly hiding my true identity, this is Tell It Someone. First question is from the Naked Wombat. Why don't we just use emus to protect Australia's borders? Well, of course, Australia's borders are kind of wet, like ocean wet, big ocean. So we might not be able to do that. But if we did have borders on the inside, then emus will ignore them. And just run straight through them, which is okay if you're trying to get across a border, but it's useless if you're trying to defend that border, unless you're trying to stop people on the other side of the border from going across the border while they are on the other side of the border still. Because if you see an army of emus running straight at you, you're going to try to duck, I think. So, so it would be handy to use emus for people who are going across the border but they're not at the border yet. Next question is, or if you want to smuggle stuff. Don't smuggle stuff, it's illegal. Next question is from Matt Yabs. Prior to going on a date, is it worthwhile checking yourself all over for abnormal growths, or is it a come as you are type deal? Of course, if you need to check yourself for abnormal growths, then you can just fake them. Honestly, just glue some wheat bix to your ear or something and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll look like abnormal growths and she won't be disappointed, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Just glue something onto that and say, hey, look at this abnormal growth. Oh yeah, I'm packing heat with some abnormal growth. Okay, that's disturbing now, and I'm about to knock over the tripod. Abnormal growth. Next question. Next question is, of course, from Nish Brown. Do you want it done right, or do you want it done fast? Well, if you want the abnormal growth done, you probably want it done fast, because Viagra takes a while, and then it takes 4 hours, and then it goes down. So you might want to do it right. That's all I'm saying on that matter. Next question is from The Great Fish. In the last video, there was a thin man standing in front of you. What's his name? It's not a thin man. It's a tripod. You can tell he's not a man because it's got 3 legs, unless it's an abnormal growth. Principled Uncertainty asks, if Hitler invented time travel, would he have to eternally guard his baby self? Yes, that's what he did. That's what he did. And unfortunately for him, he ended up killing himself. And that's why we're living in an alternative reality. Unfortunately, he killed himself in 1945, but he did kill himself in the end. So it's not a paradox or anything. Next question is from this alternative reality has like Betamax 1. I mean the original one, Betamax 1 in that one, VHS 1 in this one, and it doesn't matter now. Next question is from the Emperor Fabulous. What do Klingon leprechauns keep in the pots at the end of their rainbows? Well, of course, death, mostly. Death. I mean, it's the Ferengis who've got the gold platinum, and Klingons like death, like specifically of their own of their enemies. I mean, their own death at a pinch, but only if they've been defeated. So yeah, that's what they've got. I'm not using special effects because it's getting dark, so I can't ask, and I don't have a Klingon mask, and I don't have a 60s Klingon mask, which is like just a bit orange. Next question is from Michael Whitman. Are you Chris Hansen, and who is Chris Hansen? Yeah, if you need to ask those questions, then you've really got to if you really need to ask those questions, then you've got to reconsider your lifestyle. Really. This light is really getting dark now. I keep on doing it at the same time of night. What's going on? Next question is from Jonathan Stern. No. Joe Freddy. How much will it all cost, and who is going to pay for it? The Mexicans. And it doesn't matter how much it's going to cost, because and if you're not worried about how much, if the Mexicans are going to pay for it, then it doesn't matter how much it costs, because it's not going to be built anyway. We're just going to make it out of perspex and just tell him that no, we're going to make it. We're going to tell them it's invisible. We're going to tell them that it's invisible and say it's a see-through wall. That'll do. That's a good way to cover up. And then just say the Mexicans paid for it, because Mexicans pay for nothing. Well, they don't pay for walls. They just walk around in gazebos. Next question, could be the last question for today. No, it isn't. What would it well be like if the Dutch didn't give up New Amsterdam during the Second Anglo-Dutch War? Well, of course, the Dutch swapped over certain Spice Islands. The Dutch got the Spice Islands, and the English got New Amsterdam. And the Dutch, they got the best deal at the time. And then later on, they realised that New York is a really shitty place, because it was, before. Okay, it was before September 11th, but it was also before anybody built there. So it was a pretty shitty place, and it wouldn't be so shitty until the 1980s. It's really dark out here. It's really dark out here. I don't even know if you can see me now. But I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with this thing. Jonathan Stern asked the last question for today. Why shouldn't you tell a coyote who forgot his watch what time it is? Well, I mean, coyotes are generally, they generally are known for, their fabulous trompe l'oeil paintings of tunnels and their ingenuity and stuff. And sure, they have the brain of a large dog, and often fall to their own traps, but that's how things work. So all you have to do is stick the emus onto them, because that's how I can tie all this back together again. Try to keep this thing coherent, even if you can't see me in the dark. So, or you can, what was the other common thread that was running through this? It was emus, yeah. I was gonna tie another thread into the back end of this, because that's how the structure of this thing works. During the end bit, I sort of tie it all together into a coherent whole, but it usually doesn't happen that way. And this is the point where I tell you that this is the dovetail question for next week. If you can see it, it's the only thing that you can see now, because I'm in the dark, because I left it too late. So this is the dovetail question for this week. Yeah, it's a good one. So ask questions for next week, and hopefully I'll be able to get to the park before it's dark next week, and actually have you see this thing as well as hear it. I'm dangerously talented, and I don't have a cool sign-off.